Hello devs, it's Rogers. I'm back again, and today we're going to be deploying SelfDB both locally and in prod, of course, on the server somewhere else. And we're going to see how we can use it in everyday life. And if you're wondering what is SelfDB, I want you to imagine like your own version of Firebase or Superbase, like I said, without the monthly bill. So you only pay for hosting, and if you host it locally, you literally pay for nothing. So we're going to start from what do you get literally when you buy SelfDB, and you get a link to download it, and then you get access to this file. And I've already set up a few things, but this is exactly what you get. And let's go into the details. So you get this env.example file, which has like a lot of the things that you need. For example, for prod, we're going to have to change the storage service URL, and also we're going to have to change the React app URL. This is like our backend, but also you will see when we're building it. So we will start out with where do you start? So basically what you need, depending on your use case or on which environment you need to use it. For local development, you can leave it as it is. You can change this up, but you don't really need to change up everything. So what you need to do is to make sure that the scripts are already executable, and we're going to run the start script, which literally just generates everything. I hated entering all those things into like everything, so I simplified it. So here we run the start script. It creates our unknown keys. It syncs with all the apps, as you can see here in the git diff. So we've synced the env with all the other sample apps and everything. And when we come back here, we see that it is building. And initially we're going to test SelfDB locally, and then we move it to the cloud. And for testing locally, we created a Python SDK and also a JavaScript SDK, which works with almost any JavaScript library. So you can use it for prod in many apps. And we do have database, storage, and cloud function. And actually, we're going to run through all the functionalities so you can see it in real time. And for quick testing, I'll be using sample apps I already built, which will also be provided to you via your purchase, and then we can see. And currently it's building, so I can keep on talking, but I'll cut some of it out to speed up the edit. So now the build is done. It took roughly 71.5 seconds, which I would say is quite quick. Then we come to our Docker to see what is running. So we see we have SelfDB running, and if we go to the front end, we can see we already have, I'm already logged in because I had another instance running, but this is the new instance, and the API keys, the unknown keys have been synced because they have been saved in my local environment. So this is no issue. So what you see is like now we have users, we have tables, we have storage, and then we have functions. First of all, let's try out like a few functions. In the sample cloud functions, I have this create 10 sample users function. You just copy it, and then you bring it here, you go to the functions, and then I'll call it test. I wanted to have my DP and my backend all in one, so I didn't have to deploy different functions from different environments. And we call it create 10 sample users. Here the function is created to see if it's working. As you can see, it's actually creating 10 users, and they're all being created. It's a simple script, create 10 sample users, and it works like that. And as you can see, it is done. So this is already a good thing, but we don't have like enough time to, let's say, start with this. So what I did is I went ahead and prepared a Python script that actually helps like test it using AI agents. Thanks to Agno and thanks to Grok, we can create AI agents to really build our first database to test everything. And in terms of what you need to run the Python SDK, all you need is your unknown key, which is generated when you run the start script. And then depending on your environment, you have to change everything. So here, if I come here, let's see. So I come to the env, and then all I need to change is this variable. Now I gave it the right API key, and then we see I also have my Grok API key, which I'll delete afterwards, but this is for testing anyways, to show people what you can do. And if I come here, we see we do have our SelfDB client. We have agno and we have .env and we have random. So we're going to generate a few random things, but we're going to see it in action actually happening. So here we are actually creating 20 more users. And if we come back to the database, we see like, yep, we're creating 20 more users. And what we're going to do actually is also to create tables. And I'm going to launch a sample app, which is going to show you everything that's going on. So here we're creating tables and creating images. Then in this sample app, I also need to have the env variable because we're running it locally. So we can come to this one. I update the env and then update this one. So this is a JavaScript app, and we can also start the dev server. So npm run dev. And just like that, we're going to see now, you see, all the things that we are doing. So basically the test script in Python, what it does, it uses agno agents to generate a philosophical quote depending on what's the meaning of life, and have 10 other AI agents debate on what is really happening. So the first topic is like, can true freedom exist without societal expectations? This is just a question. And then it gives you like this, it gives you something, and then we see what the other AI agents think. So they think true freedom can exist without societal expectations, and then true freedom within societal expectations is an illusion, and blah blah. So you have 10 AI agents debating on a topic. But what is good is now that our SelfDB is actually running, and if we open up the console, we can see that we're getting updates, and we have like sockets, WebSockets running and everything for, let's say, for lifetime and everything. So this is our dev console, and everything is still happening in the backend. And what is good is like now on our demo app, we can see that it's happening. And for example, when we ran the start script, we didn't change like the admin at example and then the password, which is that, so we can log in with our admin, which I'm already logged in because my token was preserved previously. But let's try something. So one thing we're going to do is like we're going to create a topic while signed in, and we're going to create a topic while not signed in. And the reason why I did this is the unknown key allows users to use your app when they're signed in, but it can also when they're not signed in. So what does this mean? You know, like you're building a front end app and you want to have your resources available to the people that are using your API. So for example, if what is the difference if, for example, some bad actors get your API key, or if something happens, you can always change it, and these people don't have access to your resources. For example, I switched up just one value and nothing really happens. And if I come back here and I add that one value, everything is back. So we see we're back. So for testing, I'm going to say SelfDB local demo test. Say this is a demo test, and then my name is Rogers. And just to test out storage in action, just to see how it works, we can also actually attach something. And I think I might have something better on my desktop to share, but I have this image of me and my kids, so we will use that one, and I create the topic. So you see, I do have like this SelfDB local test. I even wrote it wrong, but don't worry, we have CRUD implemented. So here I just have to log in with the admin password, admin at example.com, and then admin password. So here I can edit this now, and then let's say admin at local save changes. So we see that the changes has been made, and of course no AI agent is debating because I didn't give them access to go and debate on everybody's posts and stuff. But what is good is like I can post and say like, looking good, I love the mountains. So this is launched and it's live, and you see we have one comment and everything. And of course, as an admin user, you can go in and delete. The reasoning behind this is I got banned off Reddit for some reasons I can't give you. I don't understand how this works, so I wanted to create an open discussion board, and this is the idea I came up with. So we've seen that you have CRUD happening locally and everything, but what if you say I want to use SelfDB in prod? So we've got that case also actually covered. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, I use a GitHub action because I self-host all my infrastructure myself, so it's easy, but this same action is actually the same as what you would do on GitHub. So you make sure you have your server set up, you harden your SSH key without using the root user. Actually, we do have a script on that on the SelfDB GitHub page. Okay, and we go to the GitHub page. We do have this prepare VPS script that you just need to git clone, and then you run it on your server, and then it gives you, like, you can create a user and a password, and this is how you use, this is what we will use to log into our server. So you can run this, it has basic instructions on what to do, and based on that, then we can prepare to launch in prod. So we have our local instance running, we have this local instance running, and everything is good. So I would say the local instance is good for testing, and all you need is a Docker desktop installed, or if you're running in the cloud and you use a virtual PC, you can have the Docker daemon installed, and it still works because this is the same thing we're going to do. So the test script has finished running, and we do have like 10 topics, and plus the one I created. The 10 topics all have the 10 comments from different AI agents. And now we're going to deploy SelfDB in prod. So I went ahead and prepared my VPS. As you can see here, I have two containers running, which is Nginx Proxy Manager and Potainer. And the reason why I have Potainer and Nginx Proxy Manager running is because I like to see my logs quickly. And this helps to really just go in and see it without logging into the server. But I also set up my SSL certificates for my, let's say, for the API, for the dashboard, which we're using here locally, and also for the sample app, we're going to also push it in prod, and also for the storage service. So the storage service actually is used for quicker uploads and downloads because we don't use the backend to handle all of that load. So storage service handles it. It's a microservice. We started out with Minio, but it failed us. It was very slow. We had to create something from scratch, and actually it's a better service. So let's now go into deploying to prod. One important thing about deploying to prod, you actually have to make sure you have your networks ready, because it's the network, this SelfDB network, on which we have Nginx and Potainer running, which is going to help us tunnel everything, or like proxy everything into, let's say, into the open web, because our VPS actually has only the HTTPS and the SSH and these two ports open. All the other ports are closed, and this is good because now we're keeping away, let's say, bad actors from our resources. Now, one thing we need to know is, like, you have to have this network configuration, the network name, I think it's here, it's SelfDB for me, and for you it could be something else, but you need to give your containers access to this network. And I closed it out, I commented it out, so here I'm uncommenting it, and here we are, and here we are. So when I uncomment this, everything is ready to go. Also, you have to declare it as external. Let's check again the containers. Okay, also have Dino needs access to it. So this is the network Dino, the front-end service, and then the back-end service, and the storage service, which have access to the network. So all the networks are ready. Our env is ready, so this is going to actually use the same env. And now all I can do is save the changes, and then just commit. I do run my GitHub account and my personal GitHub instance on the same account, so I need to push origin, which is going to push which is going now to push to our GitHub action, and for that I will show you what it looks like. So this is within my private network. Technically, I didn't SSL it, but we have our Git action or GitHub action running. And basically what it does, it's like it sets up everything, checks out the code, prepares to SSH and copy the directory, opens the directory, and then builds and deploys. So we see the setting up environment. Unknown key already exists, so we're going to reuse the same unknown key, and now the containers are building. And I also prepared like something to help us see what's going on. Okay, here I do have my .env and I do have my SSH. And let's create a new. So now I'm logged into our SSH, our server, and then I have to go cd-home ls. And now when we come, this is my user who was created using the prepare VPS script, and now this is SelfDB, the directory where we need to be in. So I have to say cd selfdb, then ls, and then just to test if everything is ready. Not yet. So now we only have Nginx and Portainer running. If I come back to the action, okay, now we come to dashboard. So we see that the build is done, and also we come to dashboard and it's available. So here we test sample.com password, and voila, we're in. So this shows that the prod build has actually been pushed and it's live. So I will close this view and then we come back here and we see. So if we go to these proxies, we know this is going to say it's available. We're going dashboard is available, we've already seen, and then we go to, this is going to be like our sample app, it's not available, and storage will give you that message, it's also available. Now what we're going to do is actually connect our local instance to this, our test script. So what we need in our is actually the .env for that, cat.env. And we still need to get the API key, which we'll put in this env here. Okay, that matches that. And then we copy the storage URL, which comes from here. So this is the storage URL, the one we have in prod now. SelfDB storage. And prod URL is this one. We don't need to add the .v1 because our JavaScript SDK handles that for us. And now that this is ready, I'll go to another server. So it has already restarted. Now to localhost. Okay, we see that we have an issue. We have no topics, so topics can't be found and everything. However, to solve this is actually very easy. We use our test script again with the new env variables. So I'll just copy the base URL from here, vit, and then base URL. Here we need the dot. Okay, and then we get the storage URL. This is the production version. And then we need the API key as well. So once we have the unknown key, or API key, whatever you wish to call it, then we're ready to test our instance if it's reachable from our test script. So our test script, which ran locally, is the same script we're going to run on prod. And we see that it is working. So if we come back to here, we can check and we see we haven't got any topics yet, but this is going to change soon. And if we log into dashboard at example.com, admin password, we see that we've already created 20 users and we have 2 tables. And if we check on our local build, we're going to see now we're starting to pull in stuff from prod, because of course we set it up to use the prod environment. But actually this doesn't stop here, because I already set up also a deploy action for the demo app. So here we're going to shut down the server. This is the dev server, and we're just going to push this as well. And when we push this, it's going to be available via the prod URL, and it's going to be in prod, so users can log in normally. And we just wait and see. Actually, it's also going to be available from when we, like how we check. If we go back here and then we go to cd dot, and then I can say ls, and then we have like our SelfDB demo app deploy. And if I go there, cd self demo app deploy, you can see that now we have all that. Cd open, and I think it's ready. But how to test if it's ready? It's easy. We just go back to our Nginx, and then we see this opd, and it hasn't loaded yet, so I'd say it's still building. And here we go. So now we have our prod ready version of SelfDB. Of course, we still have our test up here, building everything out, still like adding comments and topics, but I will just interfere and create a new one. So this is hello SelfDB users, SelfDB users in prod. Say prod equals live. Then I'll just say Rogers again, and just to still debug around, I'll still add an image. And I remember I had an image of me here and the kids. And here we go. So hello SelfDB users in prod with the HTTPS and everything. And this comes with the Nginx proxy manager, which is linking to these containers, having like I'll share the config in the how-to documents. And the good news, we can also log in here with the admin at example.com. See password, and we're in. We see like the admin is logged in. Of course, admin can come in and add comments to any other thing. They can edit comments. Well, let's read this one. A true person's identity is nurtured through a harmonious blend of self-discovery and meaningful relationship. I agree with that. I just say I agree. This is the shit. It's the shit. And add a comment. Now we see I added a comment. I can of course log out, and all of this now stays in prod and ready for people to test. And as you can see, the AI agents, we are adding more topics for the testing purpose and images and stuff. And to test out what we have in our prod environment, we actually have this discussion bucket which stores all the stuff. And of course we can, okay, this is the image that I uploaded, which is a screenshot, but these are all called temp because they're generated in the temp environment. And of course it's available to be downloaded. For example, if I download this in the downloads folder, I can see it's this one, the one that I uploaded and used. So I say all is good, everything is running, and SelfDB is available in prod, and you do have like all the functionalities we had. We still have auth, we have database, we have storage. We actually also have our SQL editor, doesn't work any different than any other SQL editors, and we have functions, and we also have schemas that help you see what is running currently. We do have the user model, we have the files. This is for our file microservice, and we have the comments and topics, and they're not related like these other ones because these were created they were created in the Python script, which finished successfully. So when you create everything in the SQL editor, everything has relationships mapped together. If you just create it using the client libraries, for example, our Python and JavaScript SDK, it all goes there. And for example, if you want to use SelfDB, you can get the JavaScript SDK by running npm install at selfdb-javascript SDK. And if you want to use the Python SDK, you just run pip install SelfDB. However, I like using UV because it's very quick and it's very fast. So this has been a demo, and if you have any questions and you want to run SelfDB in prod or locally, or if you want to test out other things, you can always reach out to me on the SelfDB Twitter handle, but I'm also available on my own Twitter handle, which is linked. Okay, we come here to my Twitter handle. As I'm building public. So here's my own Twitter handle where you can reach me, and then I can help you out. And if you have any improvements while using SelfDB, please reach out. One good thing is actually you can mod out SelfDB to do even more than this. If you have a specific case, you can always add new containers and connect them. And if you find new improvements for the launch, because I find that there is a lot of errors if you misconfigure this file. I have to say, take your time, and if something is not running right, always go to the server and delete it out and start again. If the URL is set straight, these two URLs, and then you don't have the env, because if you have multiple env conflicting for setup, you need to delete one and then start out without any other envs. But all in all, in general, it's a straightforward process, and I hope you people like it and enjoy using SelfDB in prod. And please don't forget to tag me in what you're building with it.